Welcome back to another episode of the Clean Mentality Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Dukevich. Here we help you become your best at body, mind, soul, and relationships. How we do this is in 3 different segments of the show. We bring in members of Kaizen to share their journeys in self-improvement, special guests that are highly successful, and we hear their life lessons. Then, of course, you can hear it straight from our own mindset segments coming straight from me. So without further ado, we are welcoming Dalton Seafler back to the show. Dalton, how you been?
Good, brother. Happy to be here.
Glad to have
Stoked
you
to get this
back, man.
started. Yeah.
Heck yeah. So Dalton has a few things going on. He has Turtle Fitness and Nutrition. That is his main coaching
Main business.
main business. And then he also has Turtle Impact, and he does a little bit of social media marketing and bartends, and what's the other one you do? Forklift driver. Yeah. So he's a savage. He does all kinds of different work in his life. He's, been going through it lately, and man, since the last time I saw you on the show, like you went from a bulk to a cut. So you're looking shredded, man. I like
I
to see the
appreciate that.
progress.
I'm going into like a strength block now, so I'm going to start building up that strength. Working on Zercher squats. I'm going to go for 425. I think is going to be the end goal.
Those are humbling, man. Those things are
Oh,
humbling.
bro, so humbling. Those and the Zercher deadlifts. Oh my gosh. I thought I put 3 plates on there. And I'm like, nope, not happening. I had to drop it down to 2 for a minute.
That's a pain. I gotta try those myself. But yeah, man, so this journey you've been on lately, I've seen a lot of progress in the past couple months. I just kind of want you to give us an idea of what things you've been doing throughout your days and how have you got to this point, and tell us a little bit more about the growth you've had in your coaching side and all that.
Okay. So I guess the last time we talked, I was still pretty building stuff. Gained a handful of clients for the strength and conditioning. I started digging into social media management and marketing. I started to go and take some online courses to get meta certified to kind of learn more about it and to kind of help my own business in a way. And I kind of had a thought process of trying to start my own little media management business and coaching and stuff like that eventually. But I dug into that. I've been doing that. I hit it pretty hard. I probably study 2 to 3 hours a day there for a couple weeks. I've slowed down now because I'm waiting to take my exam for the meta, which I completed all 6 courses, all that fun stuff. It took me a good probably month or 2 to get it all completed. And then, like I was saying, I've gained a couple clients, gotten some really good results for people, and then I'm working towards heading over to Indianapolis to start actually doing some one-on-one training with one of my jiu-jitsu coaches out of IBJJA, which is Indiana Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy. James Klingerman, he's got a little setup in there and stuff like that, and he's got a lot of competitors underneath him, and he's got a lot of sister gyms and stuff like that that are really kind of interested in getting involved in it. So that's kind of been the process with that. Like I go down there once a month, and then I'll train for like 4 days straight, 3 or 4 days, and just hit it super hard. I'll probably get like, I don't know, almost 10 training sessions in, and each of them are like an hour long, and 2 of them are competition classes. So like I go hard as fuck when I go down. When I go down there, I go down there with intention. Go down there to intend to fix my jiu-jitsu, to get better, and to just build a network from over there and meet the guys and just build a connection and start building in that area more so I can, when I do get over there, it's not like I'm starting fresh. I'm not, like wondering where I'm at. At least I'll have my people over there and then all that fun stuff. And then
Awesome.
recently, I started getting back into reffing as well, jiu-jitsu reffing. I did a Terre Haute one and then one in Indianapolis. A lot of them in Indiana because they're a lot closer to where I'm at. There's only like a couple hours away. So I did a couple of those mental health podcasts, psychology, and I recently started digging into like shadow work and like digging into traumas in the past and like how like their body can hold on to emotions and all this fun stuff and just trying to get a really good control their emotions and being able to stay focused and driven towards everything, being able to, cause like there for the time, like you talked to me for after that breakup and that was rough. That's what really kind of, okay, cause I started slowing down a bit, but I didn't stop. Like I knew what I had to do. I was depressed. It started out with me, my getting out of bed started getting later. Like I was getting up at 3:30 a.m. every fucking day. Didn't matter what time I went to bed. I'd be going to bed at 10 o'clock and I'd still get up at 3:30 and getting out of bed. Right. But after that happened, I started getting depressed. It went from 3:30, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And then eventually I'm like, damn, I really got to stop. I got to get something going and fix this. So I started digging into like what was wrong with the relationship, what all happened, what was wrong with me, if there was anything personal. And then I started digging more into the shadow work and I realized that part of it was me, like with you, you said you had to grow. And that's how I believe that's what it was. I was not there's this sense of you're not ready for abundance, right? It's like you're begging the universe for something that you're not ready for. And that's what I kind of felt like I was doing. I was begging for something that I was not truly ready for. I was begging for love, money, abundance, and so I dug into the meditations and like all that fun stuff. And then I started doing the gratefuls, writing things down, doing journaling and all that stuff. And then everything started, like, I didn't stop anything. I didn't stop growing the business. I didn't stop doing what I absolutely needed to do. I did what was necessary while dealing with this shit. And I like it. Like, yes, the gym was helping and stuff like that, but I still didn't want to be there. I honestly, I was in there. It was so hard to focus. That mind muscle, like that's another reason why I started going heavier. So I'm like, if I have to focus, this is going to force me to focus. And another reason why I got into jiu-jitsu, it forces you to focus, right? That's that's the huge reason why I got back into jiu-jitsu. It's like mentality wise, it's like it forces you to focus and to get out of your head. You got to be in the moment, present. That's one thing that's like I've had so much time to practice on, or I've been trying my hardest to practice on, like different things, different ways to be present and being in the moment and stuff like that. Because even when I was being super depressed or down on your luck or anything like that, that's one thing anybody struggles with, like being present because you're too worried about the future or you're too worried about the past, and
Yeah,
that's
man.
a
So
huge thing.
I want to cut in here and just kind of go back because you hit on a bunch of stuff right there. So,
I so yeah, I did. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, so
Can you tell it's been a while since I
basically,
talked to someone?
you're fine, man. You're fine. So, yeah, as far as you're doing all these things with business and entrepreneurship and working and all that. And then you also talked about this really good topic I thought was something we could really help other people become better with is that shadow work. Like, how
Yeah.
did you find that? And what is the process for shadow work?
So how I've never really heard the word shadow work until like my ex mentioned it. She mentioned that she had done her shadow work. I'm like, okay. So I brushed it off, but then when we broke up, I started digging into like traumas and stuff like past stuff that I've dealt with, like meditation of trying to dig into the past, right? And then it says that's when the shadow work starts coming up. That's the whole meaning of shadow work is that subconsciousness. Shadow work is another word for subconscious, right? Subconscious are those thoughts that are dug deep inside your mind or even in your body, right? Like the first thing that I was starting to learn is like your body takes screenshots of the emotions, of those past emotions, and it holds on to it. And then your mind can get addicted to those emotions. So it's like, I don't know, a little example is when people listen to sad songs or they just scroll through and they see these sad memes and they linger on it for too long. I mean, that's what I was doing because my body was addicted to the depression, to the sadness, and because I felt that for so long, and even from when I was a child and stuff like that. So honing in on what it was, that was what the subconscious was doing. That was a subconscious thought was like, I'm not good enough. It's not enough time. I've already done all this, made all these mistakes. And the process that I was using to help get past that was I would write down 3 thoughts to be aware of every morning. 3 thoughts to be aware of, and then 3 thoughts to replace those with. So my main ones were I'm not good enough. I don't have a certain something that someone else has, or I don't have enough time for something. So I would replace I'm doing my best doing everything I can with what I have, and I have enough time. There's a lot that it can happen in a year. There's a lot that it can happen in a day. I mean, everything doesn't happen in Rome wasn't built in a day. So building a business, doing all this, you know, reading up on people that start businesses and doing that at the age of 40 years old, you know, and I'm only 31 and I've been at this for, a year, and I've made so much more progress from like engagements to my brand to even talking to people, you know, the networking and everything else, like having to step away. And that's another thing with shadow work. You got to stop and realize how far you came, because then that will eliminate those subconscious thoughts. Is like, I'm freaking out about the future, right? I don't have enough time, but look how much has grown, and look where you were before, you know?
Yeah,
So
and it sounds like what you're saying is you're writing down your self-limiting beliefs in the morning, your three self-limiting beliefs, and then you're going using a different mindset to flip that over and go, no, I believe in myself. I'm worthy of the love I want to receive, or whatever it might be. And
yeah,
like that's powerful. Like I did those daily inspirations, like that's what I called it. Or daily
yeah.
gratitude is what I called it.
Yes, I do the three gratefuls too. I do those too.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like that's super powerful, and that's something that if you do it first thing in the morning, like you said,
yeah. Sets your whole
anybody
day.
can gain from that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
that's really cool. I'm glad you talked on that
Like,
one.
yeah, and the real reason why I like doing it during the day is because you're still gonna have the subconscious thoughts, right? You're gonna have to take a second throughout the day, and you stop yourself, because you're realizing what it is, and you can stop yourself in the middle of the day, be like, hey, okay, remember this. Don't get angry. Don't let your emotions show. Remember this. This is how it is. This is your trigger. This is how it's going, and this is how you fix it. You know, I was doing, to begin with, for the first month and a half, I was meditating probably 3 times a day. I do about 20 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and then another 20, 30 minutes at night before I went to bed. Like, I cut it down to about once or twice a day, probably 30 to an hour, and it's still doing its trick, you know?
Yeah, so you said this thing about not letting your emotions get to you. And I know that you've had a couple posts about the Stoic mindset, and I follow this, other friends of mine follow this. What's your kind of journey with the Stoic mindset? Like how do you use that throughout your day, man?
Just the whole be who you want to be. Like, gonna a warrior's not gonna be looking up at those, just looking up porn, isn't gonna be drinking, isn't gonna be, doing this, isn't gonna be like lashing out. A warrior does not lash out unless he needs to. And then the only need is to protect or for battle. You know, does that fight or flight? Get rid of that fight or flight. There's no reason. There's no fight here. Like, that's how it is. You should only be aggressive during the fight. Like, I mean, fighting for the growth of your business, you can be aggressive with that. Fighting for, yeah, fighting for this to be who you are. Fighting for yourself, the belief in yourself. Like, that's the whole thing. Honestly, man. Like, the stoicism is just being that who you want to be, that warrior, who you're truly meant to be. And you got to think about fucking centuries, like 15, 20 centuries. This is Five Rings. Have you heard of that book?
I haven't.
Five Rings?
No.
I think it's called Five Rings. It's about a samurai that was the number one samurai of ever, and his discipline was insane. Like, the reason why he was so good at what he did was because he didn't, what's the word am I looking for? He didn't subject himself to simple pleasures. He didn't subject himself to women. He didn't subject himself to drugs, alcohol, to doing that. He subjected him straight to the training, to the mindset of the warrior and for his people. And that's why he became the number one samurai of his country, the whole Western civilization.
I love that, man. I'm
I'll
gonna have
send
to
you,
look for that book.
yeah. I think Five Rings of Fire or something. It's Five Rings something. It's Miki Mishimoto.
Okay.
I'll send it to you. I have it on my list, or in
Yeah,
my
no, that'd be
library.
great.
But
I'll attach it
it's
to the podcast too, so other people could, you know,
yeah,
read it.
yeah, that'd be a dope one.
That sounds interesting. So yeah, man, I mean, like the Stoic mindset I feel like is so important, especially for men and women, but mainly I feel like it's focused towards men and a
Yeah,
large majority, right? And it's, you see it every day,
because
like people that you work with who act on their emotions instantly. And it's just,
yeah,
you can tell, like, when you start to be able to control it, you can tell how weak that looks and how
yeah, yeah,
weak they are really being because they're just letting it's kind of like the go with the flow mindset. Like if you go with the flow, it's all over the place all the time
yeah,
and you're not making any progress in your life. That's one of the things I like harp on a lot is this go with the flow mindset is bullshit. Like
yeah.
you have
It
to
is.
have you need a mission and you need a purpose in order to achieve anything in your life and you have to work towards that. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Going with the motion. I think, like you said, the stoicism is you create that edge. You're a sword. You glide over the waves. You set your path, and if you go every day with intention, doesn't matter how the waves are, they can crash over your sword, underneath your sword, round it, whatever. You are the blade within that water. You know what I mean? So you set that straight edge. You know where you're going. There's no reason to go with the flow. That was one thing I was digging into is like the whole letting go. But that doesn't necessarily mean go with the flow. Let go of the fucking issues. Let go of the flow. Let go of it. Just you see the tip of your sword, head towards the tip, right? Or you see your opponent, and that's where you're taking your sword. You're not worrying about the jig jag, the juking and all that. You have a mission, and it doesn't matter. Like the going with the flow, it doesn't matter. I think that if you do go with the flow, it's going to throw you off, you know, because then
100%.
you're going down. You're going. Why do you want to go down? Like I get it, it's life is ups and downs, but you don't physically have to go down, you know? So you keep that strong mindset and that intention, that purpose of just moving forward, you know?
So I think this kind of ties into to something when you're talking about like the tip of the sword and following that straight path towards it, which it really isn't straight. There's failures along the way, whatever, but you're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
following that. Is like spiritual or like religion or like faith along those lines. And I forget. I hate to say it, but I forget. Are you spiritual in any way? Do you believe in God?
I'm a little spiritual. Yeah,
Okay. Because like I feel like in order to follow a like righteous path, and that's the terms I'm going to
yeah,
use as far as the sword goes, is you are following a higher power in some
yeah.
way in order to get there. What's your thoughts?
Yes, I believe that like sometimes I'm back and forth on it, but I do believe that like having that added purpose helps. I mean, I'm still on big on the you are your own, you can be your own hype man. You are your own stuff. But to know that you have a higher purpose or something has a higher purpose, it's like the universe or God has a reason why you're here. Like you're not here for no reason. There's a fucking purpose. We're not just flesh and bones. We're not just, a leaf has its purpose. Like it's, you know what I mean?
It
So
does, yeah, 100.
yeah,
Like,
I think it's a big thing to have that higher, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it's just like the universe, karma. What is the Vikings? The Viking religion? I
oh,
can't think of it, but
why can't I think of it either?
Christianity. Yeah, and, so I started with a V. I thought. Anyway, um, but the Nordics,
Nordic,
Nordic
yeah.
religion, Nordic, yeah, and the Nordic and God, Jesus, of course, like having that higher power, having that purpose, something to give you that purpose, to give you that drive. It does help tremendously. Like just knowing that it makes you feel less alone, because I think because on these journeys, that's all you are. You are so fucking alone, right? Like even if having the brotherhood and stuff like that, and everybody, and having these people that encourage you on the side, it's still you. Like you're still going home by yourself. You're still laying down in bed by yourself, you know. You're still going to the gym, getting up, going to the, unless you have a girlfriend or a fit or, a gym rat girlfriend like yourself, then you're going and doing everything alone. Like when I was fighting and stuff like that. And I was thinking, you're getting in that cage alone. Ain't none of your coaches getting in there with you. Nobody but you and your opponent on that fucking mat. I think that's why I resonate with the warrior mentality more, is because like it's just you and that your opponent. It's nobody but yourself, your mind, your thoughts, your to get that victory.
Yeah, and I like there's two sides to this, right? There's the like I'm on the warrior's path and I am alone and I am handling all these things on my own because ultimately, yeah, even with a girlfriend, it's still you getting out of bed to go to the gym in the morning. It's still you that puts in all the work. Like it's not people
Yeah.
can give you inspiration to do it, but you ultimately have to do it yourself or otherwise you're just gonna fail or you're not gonna do it.
Hmm.
And then the other side of this is though too is that like being in that mindset of I'm on my own. I'm going to make myself the best version of myself that I possibly can so I can get to that point where I can attract someone that's of high value to me as well, or whatever it might be for you. But I think we get caught, like I've been here, like we get caught in like that dark, not necessarily dark energy, but just that, like,
The subconscious thoughts.
I'm just on this path and like I'm going Goggins mode all the time. You know what I mean?
Oh
Or
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're like some people get caught in this. I'm not saying you do. I don't know, but
yeah. Thinking that they have to do that 24/7,
like they
right? Is
have
that
to
what
be
you're
this
getting at?
hardcore person all the
Yeah,
time. And I
you
feel like a
know.
lot of people have a hard time like relating to me because sometimes I don't show enough emotion, like especially in podcasting or in
Yeah.
certain things. Like
See, yeah.
to be
The same. I'm
like
like, well, fuck your excuse, right? Like, who cares? Like like one excuse I've been hearing lately is, I'm a picky eater. I don't like to eat this. I'm like, what? Just that's not. Then you do this, this, and this. Well, I don't know if I want to. You gotta be kidding me. You know?
yeah, and well, it's like yeah, like those sort of things. That's what's like contributed to a little bit of a negative resentment in like in my relationship that I've had. But in the past for it, like I've been so strict on like my diet and like these things. It's good that I'm strict. Like I can be strict on my own, but also if you want to have like a good relationship with someone and they're on a very similar path, but they like to have I don't know,
They're
a
not
little
as
bit
intense as
different
you.
variety.
Yeah.
Like it's
Dude,
fine. You
honestly, I
can't.
think that was kind of what Bickerman that was wrong with the ex. I think was because I started projecting myself onto her, and I figured that out too through the shadow work. I started projecting myself onto her, and then I had another friend that I started doing the same thing to, and she like smacked me in the face. She's like, "You're projecting. You need to stop. You look at what you're doing. I don't do this. I don't do this. This is what makes me happy. That's what makes you happy." I'm like, you know what? You're right. I really appreciate you showing me this. Like that, she helped me open a whole nother door. Well, I think maybe it was the friend that drove me over to Indianapolis that one time. You're like, oh, are you driving now? But she ended up driving, and she pretty much she's like smacked me in the face. She's like, dude, you are projecting like so hard right now. We can all be happy still to get the things that we want done, but that's not what. Not everyone has the same goals in life. Not everyone has the same drive, to for that solid growth, or they're just happy with what kind of growth they're at. Like you can tell them until you're blue in the face, like this is what's right. You should want you like that was one thing is like for us to hard to relate, you know, because it's like it's hard to believe somebody can. My big thing is mediocrity. Like I'm like, how can you just be mediocre? Like why what is going on with why are you doing these things when it's like it's so bad for you? And it's like what is it benefiting you at all? You know what I mean? How is it serving you? How is it serving you right now? To be going out, to be doing this, she's like it's serving me by making me happy. I'm like, okay, that's all
And
right.
like
I guess yeah, I mean you're right.
yeah, they're just at a different point in their life than you are, and it's
Yeah.
hard for us being like, man, I see all the improvement this did for me, like, oh,
I just
yeah, I
yeah,
want that
yeah.
for her. But also if that person ain't ready for it, you're just being a tugboat and you're wasting time trying to pull a big rock. Like it ain't gonna happen, they
Yeah.
aren't ready for it.
You're drowning your energy. Yeah.
Yes,
And then you burn yourself out trying to do it, right?
exactly. Like the other
Yeah.
part of this I was trying to get to too is like, we have this other side of us that's vulnerable, and that, like, yeah, we can be a stoic, we can be hardcore lifting and doing
Sensitive.
jujitsu and all that, but like ultimately there's a soft side to us that, yeah, women can bring that out of us, but at the same time, like, how are you able to bring that out on your own too? Like, for me, like, I'm a silly motherfucker. Like, I'll dance or do some dumb shit.
I'm
Like,
goofy, yeah, dude. I'm goofy as
yeah,
shit when it comes to getting close to a woman. Like, I love it.
it's
Yeah,
just like showing that other side of you. Like, I like pickles. Like, I'll eat a pickle on some of my shows. It's a weird little thing I do, but like somebody liked that. It's I don't know, just like the vulnerability is like the thing I'm trying to hit on, because it's so easy to get caught in like that Goggins mindset all the time. You know.
yeah, yeah. It really see that, but I think when you do find, I think it's that pure feminine energy that brings that out in a man. That's a pure feminine woman brings out the brings out the child in a
Yeah.
stoic, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good child. It's the happy child, like it's the goofiness, but he's still the man in stoicism. But that there is a difference. There's a difference between male and female. But then,
Yeah, like once you've got your shit done for the day, fine,
yeah,
I'll bring that out. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's fine at that point. Like, as long as you're still getting the things done you need to through the day, and that person isn't pulling away from you to where you can't get it done, then that's great.
yeah.
It's a good relationship. Like, solid. But I guess kind of switching gears here too. We're doing all these things. We're dealing with all these different business practices, like different things we're trying to build in our life. And something I wanted to hit on was like, how do you deal with the daily stressors other than like shadow work? Like, ultimately, what does it come down to for you?
Honestly, man, lately, I gotta say it's probably like just the meditations mostly.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause I quit a lot of stuff. I quit all my vices when I left her. Like, so I don't smoke. I don't drink. I guess I go super hard through, honestly, Monday through Saturday. Sometimes when I'm at the bar, like I work Sundays from 10 to 5, and that's almost my time to kind of unwind and release the brain a little bit. But then I'm still kind of thinking about things, and man,
it's a
I would probably have to,
it's a tough one
go
because
ahead.
it's like
It is.
I feel like for me at the end of the day, like I could have all the best.
Like, 'cause I don't even watch movies. I don't
Yeah,
watch movies too often.
like I could have all the
Yeah,
best.
I don't,
Like I could have all the best principles and like things that I'm enacting, but ultimately it comes down to like for me, my faith. Like without that anchor every
yeah,
day, I kind of do just go with the flow. Like there's a little bit of a lack of my discipline because I'm not anchoring my day to something, right? And it's like
yeah.
that's for me, but for you, I mean, maybe it's yeah, meditation. Like that's ultimately meditating is trying to get with the higher power in a way. I mean, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Getting more in tune and being more present, like practicing the abundance and being more grateful and like really taking it in. And like a lot of things that I've learned so far with digging into all this. There's a doctor, Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's pretty amazing. He's been on a load of podcasts, multiple comebacks and stuff like that. You'll have to look into him. I'll send you some of the stuff that I've watched on him
Yeah,
so far.
definitely.
Um, he was talking about a lot of it is just in your mind. Like if you can believe hard enough on something, it makes it right. He gets almost a little too, it's almost unbelievable, but the way that he describes Jesus Christ and how he was doing it and how he would just simply look at the disciples or the injured or the blind and just be like, you're not blind. He would just speak the belief into their head and then they would start believing it and then they weren't blind. And that's how he kind of throws it out there. He's like, you just got to fucking believe it. You believe it hard enough and it's not going to be there. It takes time. It takes the writing it down and it takes like, you write down your goals, you write down like that major goal. Like for instance, mine is to make 10 grand a month by January. And you write it down and you say it every day and you say it as if it's already happened. You feel it as though it already happened. Like I have 10 grand in the bank right now. It's fine. It's there. I'm gaining abundance I'm gaining 10 grand a month every other month. Like you just speak it almost into existence. It sounds weird. It does at first, but like when he started using religion into it, it kind of started making more sense. Like he does these week-long things where he has these entrepreneurs, all these people come in, and he's had some crazy stories about people not being able to walk, and then by the end of their seminar, they're walking. They've had cerebral palsy and like they could barely walk, and then they end up being able to walk relatively decent and everything else. But that part where he was telling me about how Jesus literally just spoke it into their minds to make them believe it because everyone believed him as the savior. Whatever he said, they're like, okay, it's got to be true. Which is, yeah, that's exactly it. He just told them, yes, this is how it is. You are not this. You're not sick. You're fine. You're okay now. And then,
So like this made me think of the book I just read recently. It's called Think and Grow Rich. Have you read that?
yes, I've read that.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that literally that's in that book. So like he's using this basically like action that you can do. It's faith and desire, right? So like if you have a
Yes.
strong faith
Yep.
and you have a desire for whatever that thing is and you believe you can achieve it and you're saying it in the morning and at night every day, it will happen. Like you might even get close
Yeah.
and it will be like, damn, well, I'm like I made $1 million. Like, damn. Like for you,
Yeah.
like yours is 10,000 a month. You're probably saying this every day at least, I would think, but like
Yeah.
that is so
Yeah.
powerful because when you combine faith with anything, with the desire for whatever it might be, not anything, like not if it's like I want to be a I don't know, like a porn star or something. Like no, but that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Not a
But
good
you
one.
combine faith with desire for more in your life, a better family, or I want to make
Yeah.
$100 million by July 4th of
So
2028.
yeah.
You
Yep.
know, that's the things that you can say about
My example is I want to make $10,000 from my coaching service, my strength and conditioning service, my social media service, apparel, and a barbecue sauce that I want to bring out.
it. Heck yeah.
So that's the four things that I want to be able to start making 10 grand a month off of from my services and my
I'll
products.
be honest too. I think your logo is badass. I think you actually do have,
I
yeah,
appreciate
you
it,
have a
bro.
nice logo, man. Like that could pop off for sure.
I'm trying. And like the whole green thing, green means go. So
Yeah,
that part was an accident. I just like the Ninja Turtles, but the whole green and go and buy and all that.
I like that. So I want to just kind of get into what like because we're talking along the lines of like goals and dreams like for our lives, right? And I want to hear what's your vision for your life? Like where are you headed? Like what is the tip of the sword for you? Like I want
The sword, like 5, 10 year plan.
like what however long it takes, this is where you're headed.
Honestly, I mean, there for a second, I was telling myself that I wanted to have a child of my own before 40. I had that thought process. I don't know. I'm still back and forth on that one. But when I envision my future, like when I'm meditating, when I envision my future, I have a nice house. It's like more of a cabin. It's in the wood. It's got lake. It's a beautiful lake. I have I have two cars. I have my Dodge Charger. I have my Raptor, and I have my motorcycle, and I have a beautiful wife. And I come in, I vision it. I walk in, I type on my computer for a second, I do what I need to, and then I go out to my garage, I open my door, I see my cars, my motorcycle, and I walk over and I kiss my wife, and I have my kid there while she's playing with the kid, and that's, yeah, that's full financial freedom and to just live remote and eventually grow a business to where it can run itself and I can just get away from it.
I love that.
Be a part of bigger things and to help people out and just try and have that family kind of.
Yeah, I mean like that's like you got your personal dream goal, that vision that you have, and like that's what you got to focus on in order to have all that like the business and personal growth, all that to form like for this. And I love that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's another motivational thing. Like it helps you because like sometimes when you do meditate, that's what you do. Like the meditation is more or less it's not necessarily spiritual. I don't do it for abundance and gratitude. So it just, the talking points of it is like a few of the questions is like, what would you have done with your life if you could have everything that you went for or everything that you wanted? You know, how would your life look if you had everything? You know, you envision that. And it's just, it's something that just helps keep you going because you, especially on those rainy days, that's where the whole going with the flow. It's like you don't go with the flow, you create the fucking flow.
Yeah.
You know, with that sword, you're creating your own flow with that because you're envisioning it and you're putting it into the universe and you're not negotiating for anything else but that future. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's
So I think that's what helps me get through. Is solely thinking. I know the meditations that sounds like I don't know, Alex used to like all witchy and spiritually and whatever. I don't remember what the exact terms he used
it
for it,
works. So
but yes, and it's just that whole envisioning what you want in the future and not negotiating with anything less, you
I
know?
like that part about you're not negotiating. You have vision and you are fully committed and there's zero compromise. Like that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, man. So I really enjoyed our talk, and I want to give you the chance to just tell everybody like where can people find you and Turtles Fitness Nutrition, Turtles Impact. Where's all that at?
So you can add me on Facebook, but I more or less I do all my content and all that fun stuff, and more talking through Instagram and TikTok, which they're both the same. It's at TikTok. Oh my God. At Turtles Fitness underscore nutrition. And then I have a YouTube page too, and I believe that one is Turtles Impact, which I have probably 10, 12 episodes
Yeah.
with a handful of leaders and stuff like that, which they're pretty nice. Um, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for right now.
Yeah, so Dalton does an excellent job with his podcast and with his coaching services. So if you guys are interested in that, reach out to him. And yeah, man. So what's the message you want to leave with the audience? Like your message, what would it be for I don't know how many people, but what would it be?
If there is a will, there is a way. Don't negotiate for anything less than what you deserve and what your future is and what you want in your future. Do not negotiate and do the necessary things. Sacrifice what you need to sacrifice and push through. That's all you got to do. That vision is what's going to help push you.
I love it. Heck yeah. Hey man, I really appreciate you
Appreciate
having
it.
you on the show again, and we'll have you again at some point as well.
Have a good night,
You
man.
too.
You are on a mission to become the greatest man your bloodline has ever seen.